Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Yasoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacharya Astatora Satyashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. And all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Badaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devam Gaudavani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Shatarane. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I will be reading from the Bhagavad Gita. Many of you may know this verse. It's text number 22 from the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Before I do that, I would just like to mention very briefly, I beg for the prayers of all the assembled devotees here and all of those who are listening on the internet. I beg for your prayers that I may be able to say something that is useful and beneficial and helpful to everyone here and everyone anywhere who happens to be listening to this particular lecture. Again, the title of the talk is Who Can Protect Us Unfailingly? And your prayers are always very helpful. Krishna listens to his devotees, and if this talk is to be successful and valuable, then I need the prayers of all of you. Successful and valuable means only one thing, that at the end of the talk, we all begin to feel more attached to Krishna, we feel more of a desire to serve Krishna, we feel more love in our hearts for Krishna, and if we have that, then this talk is successful, because it means you take that out into your homes, into your offices, into your recreation areas, and Krishna stays with you and doesn't become forgotten. That's my goal, that's my desire, and I hope you'll help me do that. So we begin now with the verse of today's, and I will chant the verse myself first, if I can see it here. A second, please. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasade tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Who would like to try it? Anyone here know it by heart? No hands? Go ahead, Neela. Well, we'll do it with you, the way we just did the one. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam yaham. Anyone? Anyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Anyone else? Okay, now read the translation. Krishna says to Arjuna, as we know, they're on a battlefield and there's some discussion. At the beginning, Arjuna did not want to fight the battle of Kurukshetra, and he gave all sorts of specious reasons. And Krishna has given and continues to give him reasons as to why he should and must fight this battle, that it is a religious duty that he has in order to uphold righteousness in the world. Presently in the world, an unrighteous pseudo-king, namely Duryodhana, was ruling under his father's guidance and protection. And the result of that is that he was a liar, he was a cheater, he was a swindler, and as a result of and not only that, but he was a murderer. Not a killer or a warrior who goes out and kills in order to defend, but he actually wanted to and attempted to kill the 5 Pandava brothers. So what we have here is that it is a war which is based upon righteousness, and if Arjuna is to reject fighting on certain specious reasons, then what happens is he becomes a sinner as a result of not abiding by the duty that he has accepted and that he has vowed to uphold. So, the translation, but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion meditating on my transcendental form. To them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. So please repeat after me. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. Omagyanati mirandasya gananjana shalakaya chakshur unmalitam yena tasmai shri guruve namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto his lotus feet and pray that he guide every word that comes out of my mouth, so that it actually, I'm praying and begging that it becomes his word. Then we will all be benefited, because his words are perfect words. So here it is stating very clearly that, but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. So Krishna is saying that I will protect you, I will guide you, I will help you. But I'm asking for one thing from you. He says, those who always worship me with exclusive devotion. He wants us to give him exclusive worship. He is the Supreme Lord. He is all-powerful, all-knowing. He's present everywhere. And he wants us to give him one-pointed, exclusive devotion. Prabhu, go in there, tell them to stop the noise. You don't hear the noise coming from over there? Yeah, they've stopped it. Thank you. So, as I was mentioning in the point, was that Krishna is asking for exclusive devotion, one-pointed devotion. And he is, as I said, the Supreme Lord. So being the Supreme, being above all other persons who have any mastery in the world, supremacy in the world, greatness in the world, he is above all that. In fact, it is by his grace that all these other great persons are enabled to attain their greatness. He is the support of it. He is the substance of it. He is the upholder of it. And if he withdraws that grace, then no one will have any greatness, no one will have any power, no one will have anything, because Krishna is the basic source. He himself says that in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlivening or enlightening one another and conversing about me. So Krishna is stating right there, and he states it in many other places, that he is the source of everything in this material world, whether it be matter or whether it be spirit. That therefore, in this, he's asking in this particular verse, as I've mentioned, but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion. What does it mean to worship the Lord? Well, we worship the Lord with many different ways. We can worship the Lord with songs. We can worship the Lord with prayers. We can worship the Lord with various paraphernalia. Some of us have seen our devotees on the altar with lamp and light, and you can offer flame to the Lord. You can offer water to the Lord. You can offer your flowers to the Lord. You can offer your incense to the Lord. How many of us have deities in our home? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about, and you're probably doing this. Either you're offering some incense, or you may be offering incense and a flower, or some water. All of this is worship. It's a way of saying, my dear Lord, you are so powerful and so wonderful and so lovable and so adorable that you're worth my time. You're worth my offering of something which I know you like. You like fragrant flowers. You like water to drink. And you like the smell of the fragrant incense. Therefore, this is my attempt to please you. What is love but an attempt to please the beloved? If you love somebody, then you want to give them something or give her something. You know, she likes chocolates on Valentine's Day, so you give a box of chocolates. Or if she doesn't like, or if she's on a diet, then you give her diet chocolates. They have all that stuff. So at least don't tell her it's diet, though. That's good. So the main point is this, is that when you love somebody, you try to give them something that they like. The little children, they like sucking lollipops, or they like being dandled up and down, turned upside down. These are the things that your kids love, and therefore you please them, you satisfy them. Why do you do that? Because we love them. And we like to see their faces smiling and laughing and happy. So that's what love is all about. And if the child is in pain, if the child needs relief, the child feels something sticking, or maybe the child is hungry, or maybe the child has a headache, so he's going like this. So you take the child, you kiss his head, you smooth the head, take a little water on the head, and when he stops that, then everything okay? Everything good? All right? So then he's relieved, and you're relieved because you love the child. So that's what love is all about. So what this philosophy is about is as follows. Continue loving as you're loving. We don't want to change that, but we want to also shift some of the love that we have and make sure that we give it to the source of all love. The source of everything that is in this world. Earth and water and fire and air and ether and souls and living entities. All this comes from Krishna. So he is the source of everything. And being the source of everything, as he says, those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, he wants our devotion for what reason? So that we can actually increase our love for him. And when we increase our love for him, it stimulates his love for us. He loves us to begin with. There's no question about that. He's feeding us. He's clothing us. He's sheltering us. He gives us water. He gives us sunshine. He gives us air. He's giving us all these things. And he's not putting out his hand and say, okay, $5 please. Of course, the Department of Water and Power may put out their hand. Just so that you pay your electrical bill. But Krishna is not asking for anything. It doesn't matter whether you're working or you're unemployed. He's still bringing the sun out. It's still the wind is blowing. The rain comes down at the appointed and proper time. He's giving beautiful flowers. So Krishna is giving and giving and giving. And all he's asking for is just we should worship him, get our minds attached to him. And in getting our minds attached to him, what happens is that we slowly but surely evoke from him more and more affection. And that affection that we evoke, it goes to us. He gives it to us. That is his grace. That is his goodness. That is his sweetness. And when you receive that grace, what is the effect? The effect is that you feel very joyful within. There are many different symptoms. Sometimes the hairs on the arms or the head may go up. You may start getting the shivers, start tingling feelings come. Or we may start breathing very heavily. Or tears may come and drip and come down along the cheeks. These are different symptoms of devotional love that we may feel. And as a result of feeling these, we feel a happiness within. And this is what everyone is looking for, but generally looking for it in the wrong places. We look for it in the material world, but actually it exists in the heart. In the heart, Krishna is living there in each and every one of us. Krishna says, yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and is known as the what? The super what? Super soul, yes. Super soul is here, soul is here, right next to one another. They're often referred to like two birds, kind of sitting next to one another on a branch. One of the birds is observing, that's the super soul. And the other bird, he's too busy eating the fruits. He's just he's just going crazy with the pleasure of each of these different fruits, the grapes or It may be, if it's not grapes, then it may be something else that's apples or pears or whatever is there. He's just so absorbed. So the Lord is saying to that little bird there, not so much, not so much, don't eat so much. You're going to get a stomach ache. So the little bird doesn't even want to hear him. It's too good. It tastes too delicious. Go away. So he keeps, and then of course, the Lord is trying his best to protect us, to guide us, to direct us in every which way, but we don't want to hear it because the pleasure of the fruit is too strong, too intense. But then when we get the stomach ache, we wonder, why am I getting a stomach ache? The fruits were so tasty. You ate too many of them. That's the problem. So if we begin eating too much and we don't listen to the super soul who is telling us from within, he gives us kind of an intuitive sense, an intuitive feeling. It's like a feeling within that comes to me many times when I've eaten. Generally, I try to stay aware of the fact that is it too much, too little, or and generally from within, I know I've had enough. It is said that we should fill 1/4 of the stomach should be filled with liquid or water, and 1/2 of it should be filled with solid substance, and 1/4 of it should be left empty. So many times people take that extra 1/4 and fill it right up to the neck. We've all had that experience, especially if you eat some of the wonderful lasagna that they have next door, or some of the at Govinda's restaurant. They have some very wonderful foods. So in order to prevent that from happening, you have to kind of give yourself a precautionary warning before you even step inside. Now I will only eat so much and that's it. Otherwise I'll get sick. And last time I was regretting the fact that I overate. Today it will not happen until you start tasting it. It's a big battle. It's a big conflict. But nonetheless, we can win it with Krishna's grace. So now coming back to the verse of today, for those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form. So many of you have said that you have deities in your home, and the transcendental form, we see those forms in a full-bodied fashion or feature on the altar. So when we worship the deities, and we offer water, we may offer flowers, as I mentioned, incense. These are not statues. As it may be thought of, just because they're not moving. We don't refer to them as statues, refer to them as deities, because they have, through a very special, wonderful procedure, the Supreme Lord, who is everywhere present, as a witness of everything going on. So by invoking the Lord's presence in those, for example, Jagannath and Baladev and Lady Subhadra and Rukmini and Dwarkadish. So they are marble to begin with. But then what has happened is that the Lord who is within the marble is awakened into activity. How activity? What it means that he will now interact with us. We will now have loving exchanges with him. Before, if it's marble, there's no loving exchange. It's just marble, that's all. But the marble now has become enlivened. Every atom of that marble is filled with awakened spiritual force. It's awakened with the presence of Krishna. So Krishna is ready to hear our prayers. He's ready to also reciprocate our prayers with some of the things that we may need, the things that we feel we need, which are good for us. Krishna is only too happy to enable us to have them. He wants us to have those things which are beneficial, which are useful, which are very good for us in our spiritual advancement. However, those which are not so good, but a person wants to go out, he wants to drink some alcohol, he wants some rum or vodka or something, so Krishna may not give you that. If you go to the store and they're out of your favorite whatever. So Krishna made sure now you have to drive 3 miles to get that wherever. So Krishna, he doesn't necessarily satisfy all desires, but those desires which are helpful and beneficial and useful, that is his obligation, or his, if you will, duty to us as his devotees, to help us, to guide us, to protect us. So if he makes sure that a certain product is not available, so that we don't eat it, so that we don't drink it, because if we did, then we'd get sick. Krishna is protecting us. Okay? So that should be very, very clear to us. So again, those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. So that simply means if we need something, let us say you're out of a job. So now you need a job in order to pay your rent and pay all the different bills that we have, take care of the children, take care of your wife, your husband, to carry on the business of life. So the situation may be that things may be in a recession. But Krishna is above recession. He's above depression. He's the controller. He's the one who causes the recession. He's the one who causes the depression when it's necessary. Quite often when things get bad, people begin to wonder, what am I doing bad? What have I done to cause this? When things are going very well, then often we don't begin to consider that maybe we need to improve certain aspects of our life because things are coming to us. Things are going well. Things are very nice. So Krishna, at times, he may not give us what we want, or he may give us what is needed. Generally speaking, he gives us what we need. We are devotees. We need food and clothing and shelter and education and medication and all of the things which are necessary for life to go on smoothly, and so that our devotional love and devotional life can keep improving. So that can only happen when, of course, Krishna is there. Sometimes he may, as I said, he may deny us something to cause us to have this. There's some talking going on in the back. Please take it outside. No, right now, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. So he may do something in order to make us realize that he is the one who is truly in charge, that he's the one who's providing this. And when we pray to him and keep praying to him, eventually what he does is, as he says in the verse, I give you what you need. He may not give it immediately. He may make us wait for a little while. The purpose of waiting is so that our faith can be tested. Do we stop because we don't get what we want immediately, like a child? Do we lose our faith in Krishna? No, we just continue. We know that Krishna is the owner. We know that he's the source. We know that he's the controller. And if he is, we just go on praying. My dear Lord, I'm sure you see my predicament. I'm sure you see what I need, and I'm begging for your mercy, begging for your help. It is for you to decide that I should or should not have it. I recognize that. I cannot dictate to you, Lord. I cannot demand from you, Lord. I can only pray to you because you are the supreme controller. So when a devotee prays in that manner, prays in the manner of one who is petitioning, one who recognizes his inferiority to the supreme superiority, then the Lord takes note of this and he gives us what we need. He also may protect what we have. Sometimes we may have some money in the home, and we may have some beautiful paintings worth an enormous amount of money. There are paintings which go for $1 million, $500,000. And sometimes thieves, they know about this, and they case your home or your apartment, and they wait till the time you have left it or you're going on vacation. Then they go in and take all the paintings. So Krishna, he's saying here, I'll protect them. How will Krishna protect them? Krishna is in the heart of the thieves, and he can control their thoughts. And if we have been very loving and very surrendered, I am yours, Krishna. I love you. I need you. Please help me to become more devoted to you. Help me to be better in my devotional service to you. Help me to be more charitable and more giving and more encouraging and more kind and sweet. So when we have that attitude, Krishna takes note of it, and he wants to help us in every way. So the person who is the thief, he looks at your home. He says, well, what about this? Looks like a good home, and we haven't seen anybody. We see the newspapers, stacked around on the doorstep or something, and the mail. So then they're thinking about it. But maybe he's got a guard inside living in there. You see, Krishna changes his thought. and they start to feel afraid. They start to feel hesitant. And say, no, let's try someplace else. So the devotee is spared. I'll give you a little example of this in my own personal life, because sometimes just analogies and examples are good, but when they come from actually somebody who's experienced something. One time I was walking down a street. It was just twilight. And at the end of the street, there was a bunch of hoodlums there. You all know what a hoodlum is? And they like to beat up people. And I was alone by myself. I had no weapons. And I was walking in that direction. And from the distance, I could recognize a few of them. I had gone to what they call middle school with a few of them. And I know that these persons, what they like to do is just get somebody and beat them up until blood and everything comes. And I say, here it comes. I'm just starting out in my spiritual life. And I'm testing Krishna in the sense that, I need your help. I mean, I can't take on 10 of them. Maybe one, but not all 10. So I'm getting closer and closer, and there's no way if I turn around, they're going to come after me. No question about that. So I get closer and closer. I say, oh, God, you got to help me in this. You got to blind them in some way that they don't see me. Make me invisible to them. So, but that wasn't happening. Here I was walking closer and closer, and then I hear them pointing at my, and they're pointing like this. And so I says, well, let me take a deep breath and let me hope for the best. I hope at least I can keep my teeth. That would be a saving grace. So I'm getting closer, and as I'm getting, let's say I'm about 30 feet away, suddenly, it seems like out of nowhere, a police car comes zooming up right in front of these, what we call, thugs. And they're all, two cops get out and say, what are you guys doing here? What's your business? Why are you hanging out here? Meanwhile, I got a clear way. I can just keep walking. And that's what I did. I kept walking. Oh, thank you, Krishna. Thank you, God. Thank you. And I round the corner, and the cops are still talking. All right, turn around. Let me see your ID. He's going through the whole thing. It takes about 15, 20 minutes before he's finished. Meanwhile, I'm up the corner, down with, and I'm home. So Krishna saved me. Yeah, I didn't really even have to ask, because he protects his devotee. I can't tell you, I have thousands of cases like that in my life. I could write a book of just the countless times that I almost got ran over in the street for not looking, or having the wrong thing on my mind instead of looking both, like they teach you when you're a kid. So many things Krishna is saving. So these saving graces, we have to thank Krishna for. Not just forget it. So many, there are hundreds I can remember. Why do I want to remember them? Because that's Krishna's love for me. And as a result of such love for me, I owe him. I'm in debt to him. He didn't have to do that. He could have just left me get beat up. So what? I've committed so many offenses, so many sins, so many wrongs, so many evils. Why not let him? No. He's starting to love me, to worship me, to offer his heart to me. He's making offerings to me. I have to. I feel obliged to him. Even a little bit of service that you do for Krishna, he never forgets. And he wants to pay back. He'll pay. You give 1 foot of service or 1 pound of service, he gives 10 pounds back in loving affection in some form or another. So Krishna, that is his nature. He's a big giver. And let me say this, as we become more devoted, as we become more filled with love for the Lord, as the Lord pours his love into our hearts and swells it like a balloon, gets bigger and bigger, so the heart gets bigger and bigger, what does that result in? We become very Krishna-like. What does that mean? It means that we want to give more. We want to give more money to the temple. I'm not hinting at anything now, please. Money to the temple, or we want to give some books. We want to get a batch of books, give them out to our friends at the office, or it's somebody's birthday. We want to sponsor a party. The giving feeling is increased because Krishna is giving to the whole world, including to the criminals even. That's his nature, to give. The nature of his love is give, 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 give. So, therefore, Krishna makes us very much like himself. And we then want to give. whatever it can be. For example, even if you walk outside and there's a piece of paper, trash right in front of the temple, but this is a holy ground. It's really simple. The first thought that will come to the devotee is that I don't want this place to have trash with the doors open. The devotee shouldn't have to see that. And he picks it up and takes it and puts it in the trash can. He doesn't think, well, wait a minute, they have people, they pay people, they have people to do that. No, it's doing something that is not nice for Krishna's eyes. And he's always thinking of how he can please the Lord. That's what love is all about. How can I give more pleasure to Krishna? And the more pleasure we try to give to Krishna, the more he is pleased. And the more he is pleased, the more he will protect us. And he will guide us, and he will direct us. There's another very wonderful and charming story right out of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a story of King Bharat. King Bharat, he had been originally an ascetic, a person who was like a yogi, who lived at the side of a river. He was once a king, but he renounced his kingdom. And then what happened is that there was a little doe, like a little baby deer. So the baby deer was wandering around, and there was some lions and tigers roaring in the background. So the King Bharat, he felt, well, he should try to give it protection. So he immediately went to the little deer and he took it and he began to. It was just born, and he gave it a little bit of grass or whatever he could give it, and he petted it and he went to sleep with it. But little by little, day by day, he began to fall in love with the deer. Now, he had renounced everything. Renounced means he gave up the kingdom, gave up his children, gave up his wife, gave up soft, plushy beds, gave up the tastiest of foods. Now he was living just, on grasses, on herbs, on roots, shoots, whatever he could get. But now he was feeling the same kind of affection that he had felt for his son when he lived in the kingdom. He was beginning to feel that for the little doe. Oh, my little doe. Oh, petting it and kissing it and hugging it and doing all this kind of thing. And then when the doe would kind of wander off, he was looking, where's my little deer? And he would start calling, where are you? Where are you? And he would start calling him, my son, where are you? It wasn't his son, it was a little doe. But he was thinking of him as a son. And he wanted to protect him and guide him. So what happened was that he went looking for him, and it just happened to be that he fell down, and what happened was that the little deer wandered over to him as he was dying. Yeah, he was on the verge of, and he was looking foursquare at the face of the little deer, who started to lick his face. And so what happened was that as he died, what he saw as the last thought was the little deer. And that was the last thought. And it's mentioned very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita that it is the last thought that we have which takes us to our next body. So the last thought was the thought of an affectionate thought of the little doe. The little fawn. So what happened was that in his next birth, he had to take birth as a doe, as a deer. So he was in the deer community, but because he was an advanced soul, he was able to remember the philosophy of God consciousness, of Krishna consciousness. And he was trapped in this body of the deer. Some other deers would, they would come to him, they'd try to flirt with him. He didn't want anything to do with them because he was basically renounced. He wanted to get out of the deer body. So what he did is he would go to where all the sages and the saints, they would sit and they would have their little satsangs or get-togethers, and they would recite the scriptures and they would discuss the scriptures. So the deer was, had his paws kind of folded underneath, and he was just listening, so that the last thought on his mind when he died as a deer would be God, Krishna. And that's exactly what happened. In his next birth, he was born in the family of a Brahmin. Brahmins are the top, the cream of the society. The Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the warriors, and then there's the Vaishyas, which are the agriculturists or bankers or mercantilists, and the Shudras, who are the laborers and who do different types of artisan type of work. So he came back in a Brahmin family. But he didn't want to get disturbed. He got disturbed by this little deer, and he didn't want to be disturbed. He wanted people to leave him alone so that he could chant his Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Nobody bothered him. He was alone. He was in solitude. He had brothers. They thought he was crazy. They would say, hey, put this over here. And he would talk like that. So they thought he was nuts, he's not worth anything. So they would give him food, like fried food that had fallen on the ground or leftovers and so on. He wanted to be treated just as if, so that left him with solitude. Now, I'm coming to the main point of the story. One day he was walking along in this area, and there was a sacrifice that was going to be held for goddess Kali. They were going to make an offering to Kali so that this particular individual could, so that his wife would give birth, to a son. So they wanted to offer something to Kali, ideally the head of someone sturdy and stout. So what happened is they took Bharat, and they brought him to the area where the sacrifice was to take place. So what they did is they bathed him. That was the first thing. They cleaned him up completely, and then they wrapped him in white garment. And Goddess Kali was there in the form of, like we have our deities. Goddess Kali was there, and she is the wife of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is one of the great devotees of Lord Krishna. And so, of course, if her husband is a great devotee, she is also a great devotee. And here what they were doing, these men, they were going to take the head off of a devotee of Krishna. Well, how could she allow that to happen? Because, as Krishna himself says, that he protects his devotees. So, as they readied him, and they sharpened the knives, to make sure that when they cut the head off, all the blood would come out, and Kali would be offered all this blood. So as it was sharpening the knives, what she did, she was in a form, remember I said that the deities are really alive, although they're not moving. She came alive, and she manifested, and she has many swords that she carries. She has many arms. So she jumped off the altar, like we have here. She jumped down onto the ground, and she immediately began beheading all of these persons who wanted to kill this devotee. One after another. She had her assistants, women and they were all screaming and cackling. All of this kind of stuff was going on. And what they were doing is that after they cut the heads off of all these horrible people who wanted to kill Bharat unjustly, unfairly, the ladies, they were throwing the heads back and forth. It's like they're playing like basketball. Hey, catch this. Wow, I got it. Try this. This head's going back and forth. So this was their sport, you see. So anyway, Bharat just got up and he just walked out, and that was the end of that. And there was the protection of Krishna. They were about to take his head off, but they couldn't do it because Krishna was in charge. Now, let's take a more practical or more known example. Going back several years, more than several, actually, it seems like about 25, 30 years, we had a President, Ronald Reagan, if you remember. He was just elected president. He got out of a limousine. He was with the Secretary of State, Brady, I believe. And when he got out of, there was a person called John Hinckley, and he was standing there, and he had a gun, and he shot the president. The president got it in the gut, and he also shot the secretary, Brady, who got it in the head. Now, there were Secret Servicemen all over the place. The place was sprawling and crawling with Secret Service, and yet they could not protect the president. The president was there, but when Krishna wants something to happen, whether it's taking a bullet or whatever it is, if that's the president's karma and the Krishna wants him to have it, then he will get it. And if Krishna doesn't want him to have it, then he won't get it, because Krishna is all-powerful, omnipotent. And whatever Krishna wants must happen. Whatever Krishna does not want will not happen. So Krishna is giving us the guarantee in this wonderful verse. I'll give you another verse. Just in all activities, just a minute. Let me get to this. Is it 18? If anyone wants to remember, give me the first few words. 1857, 1858. And all activities just depend upon me, and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life. By what? By my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but you act through false ego, me, mine, I, I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'm glorious, forget Krishna, ignore Krishna, who cares about Krishna? If you act in that manner, you will be lost, he says. And you will be lost because you will not have my protection. I will not protect you. And when it is time for you, your karma, to manifest, karma means we've done some wrong, we've harmed somebody, hurt somebody. Now it's time for us to get the hurt. If you're Krishna conscious, if you're a devotee of Krishna, Krishna can stop that. He can prevent that. Or he may give you just a small sample of that. Whatever he thinks you need or we need, he will give it to us so that we may continue to go on with our spiritual life. That is his chief concern, our spiritual life. So, therefore, if it is our karma, so most people are just acting and working under karma. You do certain things, you get a result. But if you are a devotee, you're not working under karma, you're working under Krishna. Krishna's direction, Krishna's guidance, Krishna's protection. And if we are operating and acting under Krishna's protection, then we are insulated. And if we are insulated, then no one anywhere can harm us. If we are not insulated, then we can be harmed, and our spiritual life can be disturbed, can be upset, and therefore the result will be unfortunate, if not tragic. So, therefore, everyone here should make. How many are chanting 16 rounds of japa every day? Raise your hand, please. How many are chanting 8 rounds, or at least 8? Fine. Chanting the holy name is so important. Let's chant it now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, you can do better than that. Come on, let's get some volume. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Fine, thank you. Now Krishna knows you mean it. So, the important point is that is when we do this, we are connecting ourselves with Krishna. And when we are connecting with Krishna, we are absorbing his virtues, we are absorbing his power, we are absorbing his strength, we are absorbing his love, we are absorbing all of the good things of Krishna, and they are becoming a part of us. And when they become a part of us, we become different people, because we become transformed by the association of Krishna through the contact of his name. If you ever, for example, if you have fire and you have a cold bar, and you put the cold bar in the fire and you leave it there, the cold bar will become like fire. And if you take it and you touch it to a piece of paper, it will burn. Whereas before, when it was just cold, nothing would happen. So we become changed, we become transformed, we act differently, we think differently, we experience differently, we feel the presence of Krishna, we feel his love, we feel the ecstasy and blissfulness of God consciousness. And when we feel that, we're always inwardly, deeply, profoundly happy. And when we have that happiness, then whatever is happening in the material world, it cannot touch us. We are insulated by the inner happiness that Krishna gives us. And that's something to be striven for. To have that inner happiness, no one, nothing can upset you, disturb you, rattle you, affect you, afflict you, because you are together with the Supreme Person, the Supreme Power, the Supreme Peace, the Supreme Love. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Has anyone have any question that you'd like to ask, or any comment you'd like to make in this regard? Yes, Prabhuji. Is it? Do we don't have anyone? No, with. Okay, go ahead. I will look for the microphone. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if the thief is, if he's burglarizing, he's definitely not a devotee. He's definitely violating the principles that we have, which is, we should not steal. So he can't be a very good devotee, and Krishna will definitely let him get caught and spend maybe a few years in jail so that he knows, don't do that anymore. It says it in the book. I said it in the book. You should forget. Don't forget it. Anyone else have any comments or any questions that you may have? You don't have to feel ashamed if you say something that's not so smart. I don't kick you out. Okay, that's a guarantee, by the way. Most he bounce me out if I touch anybody. Anyone? Is that it? You have a question, please? Yes. Nice and loud because my hearing is not. What is the question? Well, when you say other deities, by deity, I understand you to mean other forms of Krishna. For example, by other forms of Krishna, we have Lord Nrsingadev, there's Lord Vam. These are all different forms of Krishna. You mean a different, like Indra, the Indra, or the sun god, or the moon god. He doesn't want that. Yeah. Well, Hanuman is a devotee of Krishna, so the worship of devotees of Krishna go directly from the devotee directly to Krishna. So there's no problem there. In fact, we are encouraged for example, we worship or glorify Srimati Radharani, to glorify Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. These are all pure, great devotees, and we pray to them to please. We beg them, please bless us so that we may have even a small degree of that love that you have for Krishna, so that I can become close to Krishna also. You obviously have so much purity and so much love and so much sweetness that Krishna has brought you to himself. So would you please give me just a small drop of that so that maybe I can get maybe 1,000 feet near Krishna? So those things are definitely authorized and they're actually encouraged, but worshiping of the demigods is definitely discouraged. And Krishna says that is for less intelligent persons who want to simply get material benefit. Krishna says you don't have to go to them for material benefit, as he says here. If you must have a material object, you like something, that I'll even help you to get it, just so you'll have more faith in me. Eventually you'll get and throw it out the window probably. But today I'll get it for you just to pacify you, to keep you. If it's something that it will actually really harm, he will hesitate to do that, you see, and give us the knowledge as to why it will harm. Does that answer your question? Okay. Is there anyone else with another question that you may have? No? Okay, I'll give you count of three. Otherwise, everybody goes and takes prasad. Oh, there. Yeah, go ahead, Mataji. Yes. What do you what? So, what was your question now? Yes. Yes. How do you stay a devotee? You come here, you feel devotional. You go out there, you got all these distractions of people talking money, people talking the lottery, people talking TV, romance, and all these things. How do you deal with that? Well, Krishna tells us what to do. He says, first of all, he says, let me just say, he says to Arjun, therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time, you should perform your duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will come to me without a doubt. But you have to keep thinking of me. That's our challenge. Not easy. Now, there are times when you cannot. You're doing some mathematical problem. You can't be thinking of Krishna while the math is going on. Otherwise, you lose your place, and one thing follows to another to another. So you finish the math, and then when you got the conclusion is there, then your mind goes back. Okay, how did I get this job? Krishna gave it to me. Who is sustaining me in this job? You start to go through the process that you keep thinking of Krishna. For example, I had the same problem. So what I did, I decided, I used to write the letter K on my wrist. I had a pen, and I would write it to every morning. So every time I would look at my watch, I would see the K. For 2 hours went by, I didn't even think of Krishna. Finally, when I saw the K on my wrist, oh, Krishna, thank you for reminding me. Finally, I decided to stop doing it with a pen. I said, well, there was a tattoo artist down the way. So I went down and I asked him, I'd like to, you see this K, which I wrote with blue ink? So I said, could you put one on there for me? I figured maybe it cost me $10 or so. What's that? So I said, how much will that cost you to put this K on there? He said, $50. I said, $50 for just this little thing? I see you put these dancing girls on people's arms for $50. And you're going to charge me for this little thing? So he said, well, that's our minimum. So I said to him, I'm a monk. I don't have any money. Can't you make a little discount? He says, no, we have a miss. He said, wait, where are you a monk? What order are you with? I said, I'm with the Hare Krishnas. They're just about 3 or 4 blocks away. Oh, the Hare Krishnas. I said, you know the Hare Krishnas? Well, my brother, he goes to the Sunday feast. Sure. I said, well, then you owe me. You got to give me a discount now. He said, okay, $40. So he did it for $40. You can all see the great artistry there. It's a simple K. I don't know what script that is. You have to check your computers. So we got that. Another thing that I got, these are things that you used that come in contact with. I have this watch here, which was given to me by Time magazine when I took a subscription, when people were actually still subscribing to magazines, about 20 years ago. And as an inducement to buy the subscription, they gave me the watch. Now the watch has the name of the magazine on it, which is Time. And what does Krishna call himself? He says, Time I am. So every time I look at my watch and I see this word time, I say, Krishna. Then I see this K on my wrist, Krishna again. So I get the opportunity to remember Krishna. Maybe it lasts 5, 10, 15 minutes. So I start thinking, Krishna, help me, help me serve you, help me remember you, help me, please give me guidance so that I'm able to devote myself more seriously to you. At least I'm thinking of Krishna. So by doing that, he reciprocates, he responds. And how does he respond? He responds by giving me the feeling from within to want to do that. So instead of being indifferent, being uncaring, thoughtless, doesn't matter, he gives me the desire to want to worship him, serve him, remember him, do some practical service for him. Whatever it is, he's helping. So the more you offer to Krishna, the more you make an effort to Krishna, the more he makes an effort to enable you to make more effort to him. He's very, very reciprocal. If you make no effort, then he says, well, why should I do anything more than what the person is deserving? But your effort is your deserving, and he's there to help you. Does that answer your question? Good. Anyone else have a question like that? Oh, we have one more. I think we'll take one more because it's getting some, I can hear the growling of some stomachs around here. Yes. Yes. Welcome to the USA. Go ahead. The what? Oh, you're talking about in Trinidad?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So this form of transportation.
Yes.
So people are traveling, and other people will drop the bus, the taxi taxi, and there's one devotee in the taxi. He was to go Java. They put him out of the bus and dropped him.
There you are. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, can I just, that's a great story. Thank you so much. I would just like to add to it with one of my own stories. I was in Chicago back in 1979 when we were doing distribution of magazines, Back to Godhead. The Pope had come in, and there were thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people all over. We give them Back to Godhead. We also had Pope buttons, we would give to the pictures, we would give them to them. So the police came. Catholics didn't particularly like that because we were Hare Krishnas distributing our literature, and we also had Pope buttons, but the money was going to us. They wanted it to go to the church. So the police came, they swarmed on us, and the Moonies, the Moonies that used to, Sung Young Moons group. So they put us all in one of these trucks, these arrest trucks. So we were sitting there, the Moonies had their paintings and so forth, and I remember Jai Sachinath and we were just sitting together. I said, what are they going to do? How long are they going to keep us? So they brought us to the police station, and they lined us all up there, and they had really dagger-like eyes. All right, who are the Hare Krishnas? So I was looking at Sachi, and he looked at me. Should we say it? Is it going to be me? All right, so we raised our hand and says, okay, guys, get over here. Over there. The rest of you, Moonies? Yeah. You go to jail. Hare Krishnas, get out of here. They went to our feasts, we heard. So it pays to be good. Yeah. I can tell you another story with the fees. I won't even go into that. Come to the next lecture. I met another police officer high up in Washington on the 4th of July, and he wanted anyway, it was an interesting thing. He wouldn't arrest me because he had come and he had the feast in Chicago. And it's amazing how when you give prasadam to someone, it stays. And they remember, and they want to do something nice. So they let us go. At the poor Moonies, they had to spend the night in jail. So I think we've had it. Unless there's something absolutely necessary to ask, I want to excuse you all and thank you so much for so many intelligent and nice, wonderful questions, giving me an opportunity to share this knowledge that Srila Prabhupada has so mercifully brought to us so that we could all be happier, more fixed, more focused on trying our best to please Krishna, serve Krishna, honor Krishna, glorify Krishna, never forget Krishna. Okay? Hare Krishna. So many times when I would have my cell phone, and sometimes it would be up to different boxes, I generally put it on the PK. So I would go down to PKs and I would see something. First I didn't even know you were living with this. When somebody told me you were living with